Your lack of boundaries is making you unhappy, and it's also delaying your manifestations. Hi and welcome back to Ethereal. I'm Elle, and this is a platform for self-love, motivation, manifestation, wellness, self-help, all things spiritual, and just anything that means getting our goals in life and getting going and having a beautiful, happy life. So today we are going to be talking about boundaries. So I love talking about this because the more I talk about it, the more people have questions about it, and the more people are like realizing how important it actually is to have boundaries in place. You're a people pleaser. You let everybody have access to you. If not, good, excellent, you must have good boundaries in place. But we can always tighten up those boundaries, and there probably are many people watching this right now that don't have boundaries and are going, yeah, I am a people pleaser, or yeah, I don't know how to say no, and that's okay too, because we're going to work on it. We're going to find some tips and tricks for you today that you can put into place to help put boundaries in place and enjoy your life and not be running around for everybody else all the time, because this is about you, okay? This is about you, your life, and enjoying your life. Okay, number one, what are boundaries? So, we are only truly ever accountable for our feelings, our limits, for what we want to do. Boundaries are how we protect our peace. They're what we put in place to stop things, people, emotions, feelings, blah blah blah, get into us that we don't want to encounter. And boundaries are different for everyone. We all have different thresholds of how much we want to encounter. Some people are extremely sociable, some people are introverts. Both are okay, but make sure you have your boundaries in place to protect either of those, so you don't get to spiraling into burnout or feeling overly inauthentic or feeling overly tired or feeling withdrawn. That's what we need our boundaries for. To me, they're a form of self-care. They're how we protect our peace. They basically help you to define what you are comfortable with and how much you want to tolerate or how you want to be treated by others. For example, like we have a wall around ourselves with a gate, and it's how much we want certain different things and different peoples in our life to have access to. Maybe that gate is always closed for some people, maybe it's open a smidge for others, and maybe it's just full blown open all the time for some people. But if you have that gate open constantly, 24 hours a day to absolutely everything and everyone that wants access to it, you're run out of energy, you're going to run out of feelings, you're going to feel burnt out. And we don't want to feel burnt out. We want to enjoy our life. Like, we need our energy. We need our energy for our goals. We need our energy we just need our energy, okay? We need our energy to live. This is all about integrity and how we feel about ourselves and what we want other people to have access to. There's 5 types of boundaries that I feel like everybody can relate to in their lives. So number 1 is emotional. Emotional boundaries. What do you allow emotionally from others? So your emotions are obviously sadness, happiness, how much you allow people to inflict upon your emotions. Number 2 are physical boundaries. So for example, whether you like having a house full of people all the time, super social, or you just like to be locked away on your own. That's physicality. Actually being near people. How close do you like people touching you? How distant do you want to be from people? Like, don't hug me. Like, I don't like hugs. I'm not a hugger. Whereas some people are huggers and they cuddle everyone, and that's physical. Number 3 is sexual. So what are you okay with? We all have our own sexual boundaries. Also in terms of sexuality and things like that, how much we are comfortable disclosing with people. Number 4 is financial boundaries. People have no financial boundaries and they just like to spend because that makes them happy. Others are very, 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 very thrifty, so they really don't like to spend too much and save money where they can. For example, say you went out for food with your friends and they wanted to go somewhere really expensive. Does that overstep your financial boundary if you're trying to save and you don't really want to spend anything on eating out and stuff like that? And then number 5 is spiritual boundaries. So I think this always kind of relates into religion and beliefs, whether like people are overstepping the mark with your spiritual boundaries, like if people are pushing a certain narrative down your throat and you do not feel comfortable with it, and then vice versa, like you need to also respect other people's boundaries, and vice versa, like make sure you are not pushing your narrative down somebody else's throat, to make sure that you're both respecting one another's personal beliefs. So this is so important to talk about. So how social media is effing up our boundaries. Social media is blurring boundaries because most of us have online profiles with our pictures on it, instant messaging for 24 hours a day. We all just think we have access to everybody 24/7. We think, oh, well, they've got an Instagram profile, I'm gonna go on, I'm gonna message them, and then I'm gonna get mad because they don't reply. Where are our boundaries? Like, this is the problem today with why people don't respect others' boundaries as much, because we think we have access to absolutely everybody at all times. Like, I've watched the Tyson documentary recently, and Paris and Molly were talking about how Paris in particular was talking about how strangers just come up to her children while they're sat in the pram and touch them, and she said, I'm totally not okay with it, but because she's a reality TV star, because she's a public figure, because she has Instagram profiles, everybody thinks that they know her and her children, but they don't. Like, it's not okay for strangers to just touch somebody's child. But do you see where I'm going with the point of boundaries are totally and utterly blurred? Like, they're so blurred because of social media. So a lot of us don't actually know what boundaries we want in place. We don't actually know what we're allowed to do. We don't realize we can say no to someone and ignore someone for 2 days because we don't have to reply. Once upon a time, there were even phones. You had to go to somebody's house, write a letter and post it. Like, there was no instant messaging. It was like, oh, waiting for somebody's letter to come 2 or 3 days later. Personally, I wish it was still like that, but it's not. So I just want to start off with the fact that it's okay to have boundaries, and we've all got this misconception due to the increasing and growing awareness of social media. That is why a lot of us feel like we can't say no to invites, we can't say no to having to go out and people coming here and talking to people 24/7. And something that I really struggled with when I had a business was, if I didn't reply like that, people would be cursing me out, and I'm like, whoa, I'm working, that's why I didn't reply to you. Or people would literally message you at 12 o'clock at night and then be vexed the next morning because you haven't replied, and you're like, I was sleeping. And then, like, or people would message at 6 o'clock, say, where I'm not sleeping, but I haven't replied, and they're vexed again. And I'm like, business hours. You won't just go down to the barber's around the corner when it's closed at 6 o'clock and smash the door in because nobody was answering you. No, business hours, they're short. So I used to be very, like, constantly putting on my stories, like, and I see this a lot with people who have businesses, I'm so sorry, I'm so busy, I'll reply to messages in the morning, I'm da-da-da. Why do we all feel so entitled to being replied to 24/7? Like, I totally get it. Say, like, you really urgently need to know something about your appointment. Respectfully, what would you do if social media crashed tomorrow? Like, you'd have to go and see the person and ask them, and if they're not there, they're not there. Like, we can't expect 24/7 access to everybody. It's just not doable, and this is why we're in a generation where everybody's so burnt out, everybody is so tired. Like, it's social media that is messing this up. It's the instant access to people that we've got. There's no, like, long-term fulfillment anymore. There's no, like, waiting for things. Like, we can literally order something and it comes the same day. Like, when we're stuck in a generation of not knowing how to wait. So I'm here today to reiterate to you that it's okay to have boundaries, it's okay to say no, and it's okay to only do what you want to do and let that serve you. Because if they're your good friends, they'll understand. If the people who truly care about you and they're for you, they'll understand. I just wanted to reiterate, it's okay. It's totally okay to want to have boundaries. In fact, it's necessary. It's a form of self-care. It truly is. Your energy is so important. So make sure you are protecting that. Okay, point number 3. Let's get on to why some of us lack boundaries. So obviously we've just spoke about how social media is effing up our boundaries, but also why personally some of us have better boundaries than others. So this is like the question, why is the sky blue? Because it is. Because some of us are just like that. We're all very different people with different limits. Let's talk about certain theories in particular, okay? Do you feel guilty for things? Do you feel empathic? I'm a strong empath, so I always feel bad for everybody, and I realise my emotions are now mixing with someone else's. And it's difficult. Like, do you not want to say no? Are you scared to upset somebody? You're attaching your worth to what others think of you, and that's bad. You're sacrificing your own emotions for the sake of other people's emotions. So who looks out for you? If you are constantly running around after everybody, if you are constantly sacrificing what you need to do, or your space, your time, or if you're sacrificing how you feel, the things you need to prioritise for the sake of other people's priorities, then you are the only one that's going to miss out. Because they're clearly not doing it for you. And this isn't about tit for tat or doing this for that, but what I am saying is we need to have boundaries so that we are protecting ourselves first in order to help others. Because if we are not 100% ourselves and we are not giving our all to ourselves and protecting our energy and feelings, how can we ever serve others? How can we ever help others to our full potential if we are not truly protecting ourselves? So if that makes you feel a little bit better, put boundaries in place for that. Because if you have better boundaries, you'll feel better in yourself, and then you can help others better, okay? So if you're an empath like me, you feel bad letting people down, tell yourself that. I'm just going to put myself first right now. I'm just going to put some boundaries in place right now so that I'm at a better point to help people. Maybe you're scared of rejection, scared of, if I say no to this person, then they're never going to want to ask me again, or never want to work with me again. But why would you want to entertain somebody in your life who cannot respect that you need to put that boundary in place, that you cannot do something right now? They don't respect that for yourself you can't do that. They're not for you at all. You are still an amazing person if you say no to someone, and you are still an amazing person for doing what you need to do and what you want to do. Like, that is okay. He's simply saying, this is what I need, this is what I want, respect me. If you let everybody in, you're going to start attracting all the leeches and the narcissists out of the woodwork who can sponge off you. Like, they're like energy sucking demons, like vampires. Like, they'll suck all your energy out of you because you're just an open energy that they can feed off. This is why we have to put these walls up and these gates up that I was talking about. We've got to have them, because otherwise we will get drained off other people who are negative and not happy. So it's not about saying no being a bad thing. It's not about letting other people down, because like I said earlier, those people who respect you will want you to have boundaries and want you to look after yourself. It's about protecting who we are at heart and staying authentic to what it is that we want, because that's how we thrive. When we are within our power, and by in our power I mean truly living our life on our tune and how we want to, that is when we are the most beneficial to help others and to help people around us. We've got to reinforce our own boundaries to show to other people that they should be reinforcing their boundaries too. So dealing with people who don't understand or respect our boundaries. I touched on this earlier. Basically, if they don't understand or respect you, they're not for you anyway. Like, get rid of that person. You don't need them. Quite frank, that is it. Unless they change and they kind of become more accepting and apologise for not accepting your boundaries, then they're going to continue to do it. They're going to continue to disrespect you and make you feel bad for you protecting yourself. Did you hear what I just said? Did you hear what I just said? People who make you feel bad about protecting yourself with your boundaries, they are the problem, not you. Okay, we all look out for ourselves. We're only ever responsible for ourselves, and I'll say that over 1,000,000 times. It's healthy to have boundaries. We must have boundaries, and we must protect ourselves. Those who don't care about your boundaries, those who take offense to them, you don't want them people in your life anyway, so they've just done you a favor by kicking off, because clearly they're not for you and they were only going to get worse. Respect here is a key factor. It is about respect. Like, you can tell someone time and time again that you're not happy with something, but unless they respect you, they're not going to respect your boundaries. And not everybody's going to respect you. some people just don't. So not everybody's going to respect your boundaries. Make sure that you notice those type of people and you know, right, okay, don't let them in close. People who respect you, they'll respect your boundaries. Not everybody who loves you respects you, and that is a key point. They may love you, but do they respect you? My favourite point, my favourite thing to talk about, you have the power to say no. It's utterly powerful, and it's something that you should do more of. And I'm just wanting to tell you that very, very strictly today. You have the power to say no. This is your life, your emotions, your feelings. You can say no. The power of no is also the power of self-respect, self-dignity, self-love. Us saying no to others is us saying yes to ourselves. I'm just basking in that for the moment. Like, no is powerful because it means we're choosing us ourselves. It's not anybody else's place to guess your boundaries. Like we were saying earlier, those who don't respect you, even when you scream it in their faces, I don't like that, they're not going to listen. They're not for you. But don't mix that up with people who don't know your boundaries. You need to be apparent with it. You need to voice your boundaries. How do people know what you're comfortable with unless you let them know and let them know clearly? It's on you to respect yourself and on you to love yourself enough to tell people of what you are comfortable with, even if it could possibly upset them. We are a product of the people we have around us, you know, and that's important. You need to look around you and just check every now and then, like, do I want to be like these people? Am I happy with the people in my circle? For example, this is how it affects your manifestations. Here's an example. I'm trying to grow a business and I spend like a lot of time on my own when I can be, or with my son around, or my partner, writing YouTube scripts, writing business plans, writing ideas. I'm just working. And if I didn't know how to say no to people, I could be going out every weekend, going meeting people at nighttime, texting all day, and all that is just a massive distraction from what I actually really want. And I'd only be doing all that because I'd be too scared to say no to others. I'd be too scared to not reply to others till the end of the night. And that would only distract away from my manifestations, my goals, and what I want to do. So the only person that's going to impact is me. It is me. So I've chosen my priority is building a business, because hopefully one day when I've built a business, I'll have more freedom to do nice things. But right now I enjoy it. I love sitting in front of my camera talking to myself. I love thinking of powerful messages. I love designing products and liaising with suppliers. Like, I love doing that. I love helping people however I can. So right now I'm prioritizing that. My boundaries are quite high. I don't really go out much. I don't really enjoy going out, so it's not really a problem. And I only reply to people at specific times of the day. And the real OGs, my real friends, they get it. I reply in about 5 to 7 business days, but they're okay with it. So that's how I know they're for me. But yeah, it's disrupting your manifestations as well, because you're in the wrong places around the wrong people. You're using your time not wisely at all. You're using it on the wrong things. So how are your manifestations supposed to grow if you are spending your time elsewhere where you want, other than where you want it to be going? Because where energy flows, it grows. And this is another reason we need boundaries. They need to be high so that we know what we're doing, when we're doing it, where we're spending our emotions, where we're spending our time, and where we're spending our energy. Okay, cutting people off is okay. If you don't cut people off, you are going to start feeling drained. You're going to start feeling inauthentic. You're going to start feeling like you're not even yourself anymore. You're a mixture of all these people together, and who wants to feel like that? Not me. You need to filter through the people in your life to who brings value to your life. And the tricky thing is, people often want to cut off family, people that have always been in their lives, long-term friends, long-term coaches or teachers, and they let's put it straight, they don't know how to because they're scared to, because they've always been in the life. They're petrified of change and they're petrified of upsetting people. But you don't need to cut people off in such a negative way. You literally can just reiterate to them that they're not for you right now. You're just taking some space, or just tell them the boundaries that you're trying to implement, that you're going to be a bit absent for a while because you're working on a business, or you're going through an anxious phase so you don't want to go out as much. But make sure you're communicating that, because they can't guess. But then if you still communicated it and they're not respecting it, then cut them off. You don't need to cut them off in such an awful way either. Like, you literally can maybe just stop speaking to them and text them saying like, I'm just taking a break at the minute, see how things play out. Or if they're just pure evil with really bad toxic vibes, do you even owe them an explanation for going absent? Have they ever owed you an explanation for all the crappy things they've done to you? Just think on that one. This all depends on the what has happened and who it is and that situation. It's just my job to tell you it's okay to cut people off, even people that you know and you're close to. Like, that is totally okay. Being around the right people, like I said again, is crucial because we are a product of our environment. So if you're again struggling to cut people off, just think, okay, if I don't cut them off, I'm going to end up like them. And what's worse? In your head, you decide what's worse, me taking some time away and cutting them off, or me ending up like them. You need to weigh that situation up in your head and see what the best option is for you. And authenticity is key here. You really need to be clear on who you are as a person and what you want, and authentically being you. Because if we start letting other people have all this access to us, we start getting confused and we start losing ourselves. And there's no worse loss than losing yourself, because you can truly get through anything. I mean, anything life throws at you, if you are in touch and in sync with yourself, if you're on the same team. If your head and your heart are on the same team, if you are on the same team as yourself, you can get through anything. So authenticity is super, super important. If you're letting toxic people have access to you and let them slither in, it's just going to infect you. Energy is infectious, and unfortunately negative energy is a lot more infectious than positive energy, which is why you'll find a lot of positive people have closer knit circles, because there's only really a few people they probably trust with that energy, that aren't going to abuse that energy, that aren't going to leech off that energy. Just make sure you're staying true to your authentic self. So number one, we said, what are boundaries? They are them walls that we put up with gates to allow a certain amount of our time and energy and actions to other people in different ways. And those different ways are emotional, physical, sexual, financial, and spiritual boundaries. Social media has blurred the lines of our boundaries. We think everybody should have access to us 24/7, and it's okay to not let everybody have access to you 24/7. It's just the way the world is at the minute, but it's okay for you personally to not be part of that. Why are you lacking boundaries? Take that time within yourself to actually figure out why it is you people please, why you lack those boundaries, and work on those self-confidence and self-love issues. Dealing with people who don't understand your boundaries, it's okay to cut off, it's okay to take time, and it's okay to say no. Saying no to somebody else is saying yes to yourself. Make sure the boundaries you set are healthy. Make sure you are telling people and speaking up about your boundaries, so they're not playing a guessing game, so they're not trying to figure out what it is you actually want. You are actually clearly directly saying it to them, and they know where they stand, so that way you know whether they're disrespecting your boundaries or they're respecting your boundaries. If they're respecting your boundaries, great, they're a perfect person to grow around. They're going to help you, they understand you, they're a good friend, they're a good family member. If they're disrespecting those boundaries, have you told them properly? If you have told them properly, then just reiterate it to them again. And if they're still doing it, maybe they're not for you right now. Maybe you need to take a break or cut them off. Don't budge on your feelings either. Your integrity and your feelings aren't to be bartered on. This isn't a subject where you can barter with people about how much access they want to you. It's up to you what you want people to have access to. And as well, like, this affects our goals, our manifestation, it affects every part of our lives. Like, if you're struggling wanting to manifest something, then maybe you need to put some boundaries in place to know exactly where you're spending your time, who you're spending your time with, what are you spending your time doing. Not everybody that loves you respects you. Make sure you know the difference. This isn't just a quick fix strategy. This is like a long-term implementing strategy, and it takes some time. It does take some time to understand what your boundaries are with people. They might change, you might let people back in, you might cut people off that you never expected to. That's okay, but just make sure you practice telling people what you want for a change, saying yes to yourself and no to others for it. Yeah, so just stay positive with it too. Don't be in such a mean way, being like, I don't want to talk to you anymore, you're not good for me. Like, come on, we're not doing that here. We're just implementing ourselves forward and moving forward on our own journeys, and let's hope that everybody else does the same. Also, make sure you are respecting other people's boundaries. Like, practice what we're preaching. Don't be like saying these are my boundaries but I'll just do whatever if I want with you. That's bad practice, because you respecting other people's boundaries also makes them want to respect yours. Right, thank you so much for sticking around. Have a good day, evening or night, whenever you are watching this. Remember, you are totally capable of the life you want. You're allowed to say no to people, and you need to start saying yes to yourself. You can have a truly beautiful life if only you intend it to be. And I'm going to leave you with that.